Welcome to odds.com's NCAA basketball coverage with our expert, John Ryan. We are capping games for Saturday, December 19th, shooting it on the evening of Friday, December 18th. John has picked out 5 games that he is about to attack. John Ryan, my man, how are you doing on this Friday evening?
Oh, I'm doing good, Jimmy. Thanks for having me on board here. It's Friday evening, and then after this, we can hopefully relax maybe for a little bit.
Check out the big college football card and college basketball card tonight. But you've picked some marquee games on this Saturday card that I'm looking forward to hearing you break down and attack. You are sitting at 5-5, hitting 50%, down 0.18 units, ROI minus 1.80%, average line minus 106. You started with a smash and grab 4-1 day, followed it up with a 1-4 day, but you are one victory away from the black. You're in good shape right now. How do you feel about the way you're seeing college basketball?
Well, I'm seeing it better on a daily basis. In the other plays that I released to my private clients, I had a 4-game losing streak recently, which is similar to what happened to me in college football. And NFL was a sport that was kind of immune to the COVID, but it does seem like there is an adjustment in my data and my power rankings where you kind of have to feel your way to what the home court advantage is anymore. And obviously, there's not a home court advantage in basketball without the fans there. And I think we've seen it with Duke. And I'm having a hard read on Duke, for example, because they're not playing like a Duke team. Kentucky is another example where they're not playing like Kentucky. They're 1-4, and they're shooting horribly bad from beyond the arc. And I can't get my finger on the pulse of why that is. And depth perception is the first thing that comes to mind in hoops. You get no people in the stands. It gives you a different look, and perhaps that's part of the problem. But it's coming around. I'm pleased with what I've been doing this week. And I know historically, I'm a pretty old guy. I've been doing it 26 years, and there's weeks, not days. There's weeks and sometimes months where you're the fire hydrant and not the dog. So if that only happens 1 month out of the course of the long basketball season, then you're doing pretty well.
Without a doubt. And for your action here on the show, you're in a perfect spot to go on a run here. 1 win, and you are in the black. You pick some marquee matchups. We start out with marquee matchups. Are you ready to attack this card?
Yes, I am.
Let's do it. We start with a 12 p.m. Eastern big game. We have number 3 Iowa Hawkeyes, 6-0 on the season. Versus number 1 Gonzaga Bulldogs, 3-0 in the season. We're in Sanford, Pentagon, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. This is a beauty here. We're going to shop at 3 different books because again, as you guys know who've been following us, our experts have to deal with the legal licensed American books, and they're not all out with their lines yet. But we have FanDuel and Circa that we will be using for this show. So with FanDuel right now, they've just moved the line. Gonzaga is now down to 2.5. It did open at 3.5, even 4 at some books. It's now at 2.5, and that comes with juice. That comes with minus 120 juice. One thing that John has done a nice job of early in the season here on the show is kept his juice down. He's an average line of minus 106. This is minus 120. This total is at 170.5. Let's start with Iowa. They've been nothing short of dominant this year. All 6 of their games have been played at home. They were last in action on Sunday when they defeated Northern Illinois 106-53. They shot 56.2% from the field. They only turned the ball over 8 times. Star Luka Garza needed only 20 minutes to go for 23 points and 8 rebounds. Garza and Joe Wieskamp combined to go 17 of 23 from the field. That includes 14 of 16 from 2. But Garza, he's not just – he can go outside the arc and look spectacular. He's averaging 29.2 points per game, 9 rebounds in just 25 minutes per game. He's shooting 69.1% from the field and 68.4% from three. Iowa scores 100.5 points per game, allows just 68.5 points per game, giving them an average margin of victory of 32 points. They shoot 51% from the field. They get 24 assists per game. Talk about distribution. Then we get to Gonzaga. On the night of December 6th, Gonzaga had to stop all basketball activities until December 14th due to a positive COVID case. They have had, at most, 4 days of practice to tune up for this big game. Gonzaga started out the season 3-0. Impressive wins over number 7 Kansas, then number 7 Kansas 102-90, Auburn 90-67, and then number 11 West Virginia 87-82. Drew Timme 23.3 points per game, 6.3 rebounds. Corey Kispert 22.3 points per game. Jalen Suggs 13.3 points per game, 6.3 assists per game. Gonzaga has faced a much tougher group of teams than Iowa. They're averaging 93 points per game while allowing 79.7. They shoot 55.3% from the field. A marquee matchup, John Ryan. Iowa Hawkeyes, Gonzaga Bulldogs, take it away.
Well, I think as we move on in our shows, Jim, you'll know that when there's a Big Ten team involved in one of these picks, it's more than likely going to be the Big Ten team. And what I found to be a very useful metric, and anybody can follow it, is the assist to turnover ratio. And that it tells you how well a team is taking care of the basketball, how well they're passing it, how well they're distributing it to their teammates. How we talk about unselfish play in the NBA, which hardly exists anymore. But at the college level, it does exist. The unselfish play of Iowa, and it runs rampant in the Big Ten, if that's the right word. The majority of Big Ten schools play an unselfish style of basketball. Illinois is another example of it. The Big East is another conference that I really study hard because those are the teams that have the fundamentals. They have the best coaching. And it's more than coaching. It's teaching the players what the fundamentals are that they didn't learn in high school, or how to get them to the next level. And I'm not putting any, downgrade or mockery on Gonzaga. I mean, they're a tremendous team now, and they, it's a shame they don't play in a different conference. I often wondered, if they played even in the Pac-12, that would help them when it comes time for tournament time. But their head coach is awesome in his own right, because he always seems to have that team ready to play, despite what the media says every year about them not playing anybody in their conference and they're not ready for it. They haven't faced any formidable foe. But we'll see that in this matchup here for sure. So in Iowa's case, they are number 2 in the nation in assist to turnover ratio with a 2.571, which is insane. That means you're committing, or you're creating 2.5 assists for every turnover. So if average college basketball team commits 15 turnovers, that means that you would have to have 37 assists to be where Iowa is right now. So not only are they distributing the ball well, they're also not turning it over. They rank number 1 in the country in assists with 24 a game. Gonzaga does a good job too. They're 10th, but a distant 19th. They're 29th with a 1.42 assist to turnover, which is more than 1 full point below where Iowa is. And this is where rankings kind of get warped a little bit. You have number 2 against number 29, number 1 against number 10. You think, well, that's pretty even, but it's really not. I think Iowa's playing at a level that I haven't seen in a long, long time. And the only negative I've seen, but it's offset by how well Garza's playing, is that they have 3 players in double digits. And I'm sure the coaching staff will look to get 4 and 5 and 6 players in double digits as the season wears on. So I'm all over Iowa in this game.
All over Iowa. Wow.
Yeah. I'm not surprised the line moved down either, Jimmy. I think the Sharps right away came in at you said it opened at 3.5, right?
Oh, there were 4s. There were even 4s.
Yeah, they hammered that right away out of the chute. I'm not surprised by that at all. If this would get below, into that 2 range, then the money line becomes a better play. With no fans in the stands, and we talked about this in football and the NBA, we saw higher scoring. And it's because there's no noise, and road teams now can change plays, they can communicate better, and they execute better. So I did a little math, and it turns out that whenever in football or basketball, if you get below that 3 level, it becomes prudent to bet the money line, and that would apply to over the course of a season.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely agree. You have a tricky decision to make here, unless you want to go the money line route, which I would completely understand if you do. You have a tricky decision to make here. So let's move over here, see if I can get everything. So FanDuel's moved it to 2.5. So if you want minus 2.5, or excuse me, plus 2.5, you got a nice spot here, minus 102. If you want money line, you can get that at plus 134. If you want 3.5, Circa's handing that out at minus 110. So decisions to be made how you want to attack this. I can actually get you a minus 109. Can actually get you a minus 109 at DraftKings. So do you want 3.5, 2.5, or money line?
And what am I paying for 3.5 again?
Just minus 109.
Wow. This is a tricky one, Jimmy, because that money line at 134
it's
tempting.
It's enticing. It's enticing. You've
Yeah,
done a nice job of keeping the juice down very low.
Yeah, as a rule, you just don't want to pay more than 120. Again, that's my personal experience. And, when you play a couple hundred bets over the course of a season, you're going to have games like the other night in the NFL where a safety causes a cover and you're like, oh yes, I won, or oh my God, this sucks and it's fixed. But over the course of the season, you just stay level keeled in your head and they'll even out. You're going to have days where you're going to lose by the hook. You're going to have days where you win by it. But over time, if you're making good, solid bets, you are going to grind out the profits over the course of the season without a shadow of a doubt. So, wow, I'm looking at these lines too.
Yeah, no worries.
I think it is going to keep going lower.
Yes, I agree. That seems to be the momentum at the moment.
Let me just take another second here, Jimmy, if I may.
I'm dealing with that with this Jacksonville Jaguars team total over that I want this week in NFL, sitting at 16.5. With my local where, I can bet as much as I want. Bet out of my tax bracket, and it's at minus 138. So I'd prefer it to move to 17.5, even though that's such a key number right now to get, to cut that juice. So I haven't bet it yet at this point. I am on Jacksonville though, first half full game, 7.5, 13.5. So what is?
You're seeing Gonzaga favored by 3 at 109.
3.5 at 109.
3.5 at 109.
Yeah.
And I would get Iowa at 3.5. And what juice? 120?
No, 2.5. If you want Iowa at 2.5, it's minus 102. If you want Gonzaga at 3, if you want Iowa plus 2.5, it's minus 102. If you want Iowa plus 3.5, actually, sorry, it's they have it flipped here. Sorry, so I take that back. So the best I can get you is the minus 110 at Circa.
The plus 2.5.
The plus 3.5, minus 110 at Circa, plus 2.5, minus 102 at FanDuel.
You're right. The plus 3.5. Let's take that.
All right. Iowa Hawkeyes plus 3.5, minus 110 at Circa. It's flipped around here on the odds.com odds page. So that's a problem. So at 3.5 right now with Iowa, you get minus 112 at DraftKings, minus 113 at Bet Rivers. Okay, there you go. John Ryan on the board. Iowa Hawkeyes plus 3.5, minus 110, available right now at Circa. We move on to another big game, ACC Big Ten Challenge, 12 p.m. Eastern. Number 23rd ranked Louisville Cardinals, 4-0 on the season. First road game of the year at number 12, Wisconsin Badgers, 5-1, 5-0 at home, Kohl Center in Madison, Wisconsin. FanDuel has this as Wisconsin 5.5-point favorites with a total of 131.5. We'll start with Louisville. They've been off for 18 days while they dealt with a COVID outbreak. Coach Mack says 90% of the team has had COVID and has recovered. They're expected to have, and this is the tricky stuff that John was alluding to when he's talking about COVID. They are expected to have only 7 or 8 scholarship players available for the noon tip-off. I mean, can we get more information than that? We're talking about a Louisville Cardinals team that's already had injuries, hurt them badly. I mean, they didn't even start the season with a full squad. Forget COVID. I mean, they've had the deal with the absence of center Malik Williams with a foot injury, guards Charles Minland with a knee injury, and Josh Nickelberry with a knee injury, both of them with knee injuries. With all that said, Louisville's opened their season with 4 home victories. They beat up on Evansville, Prairie View, and Western Kentucky by 20-plus each. They barely got past Seton Hall, 71-70. They have 5 players averaging double digits. They're led by senior guard Carlik Jones, who averages 17.3 points and 7 rebounds. They've hit 51.9% from the field, average 15 assists per game, outscore their opponents by an average of 19.8 points per game. Playing good basketball. Wisconsin bounced back from their lone road loss 67-65 at Marquette by defeating Rhode Island 73-62 and Loyola Chicago 77-63 at home, led by 6'10 senior forward Micah Potter, who's averaging 12.8 points and 6.7 rebounds. Here we go. And Circa has Wisconsin as 6-point favorites. FanDuel as 5.5-point favorites. John Ryan, game 2 on your card. Take it away.
Well, the COVID is a real deal. And what I haven't learned, maybe you can tell me, is that it seems like you get a positive test and then you go like 7 to 10 days and all of a sudden you're like good as new again. And I have a problem trying to understand how that can be when it's so potentially devastating, even to athletes. So, you would think that if you had the flu, by example, if you had some kind of serious illness and you just got over it, it would still take another week or two or more to get back to full strength, but it didn't seem to be that way. So if we assume that the players that are available that are playing, and I'm going to be checking this list again tomorrow, but on Louisville, I like Louisville in this game. I think I'm surprised the line is as low as it is, and sometimes, as Jimmy knows, it's contrarian nature. I've looked at these things for so long, it just is a knee-jerk reaction to what I'm seeing. When I'm expecting to see 8, 9 in this game because of the news, and all of a sudden it's 5.5, it makes me go, whew, wow. Like tonight's USC game. I love USC on the show we did earlier this week, but the line is 3, and Oregon. I just don't get it. I'm missing something, and it bothers me. So I'm not quite as bullish on USC. Same thing here with my intuition that. That line is funky, and I want to be taking points in these games, especially early on in this season, because that's where the value is. The public is going to look at last year's records and compare them, and then they're going to say, well, no, that team's going to win by 10. And that's a sure recipe to lose some money. But on the Louisville side, they have 5 players averaging double digits right now. Jones is 17.3, as you mentioned. Then you have David Johnson as a guard. That's the second guard in double digits. They have Samuel Williamson, 11.5. That's a third guard. Withers, 11.75. He's a forward and another guard. They have 4 guards averaging double-digit points. I almost feel like I'm talking about Villanova. I think Louisville right now, maybe not at the end of the year, because I like Wisconsin as a team. Big Ten could put 10 teams in the tournament, and that's the reality right now. I don't see any other way unless one of the teams has a tremendous amount of injuries that they don't put 9 or 10 in the tournament, and Wisconsin will be obviously one of them. But right now, right here, tomorrow, I think Louisville's the right play, and they have the better team metrics, which I can quickly just gloss over here. Louisville is assisted field goal made. They're 89th. The reading's .545. Again, that's how well you pass the ball on offense to get that best shot. Wisconsin is 136th with a .529. And again, just like we reviewed that previous game with Iowa, being an underdog, and here again, Louisville an underdog, better ball handling team. I'm on them.
I understand. I completely understand the breakdown. And the only concern is this pandemic dealing with us with right now. When you read an article that's saying they expect 7 or 8 scholarship players available for noon tip-off, and they don't explain who that is. Louisville's been off 18 days. I mean, the key is to trust Coach Mack. That's what you're doing. So
yeah, and make sure that those names I mentioned, those especially those 4 guards, are not on the physically unable to perform list.
Yeah.
For this play to be valid for me tomorrow, going to the window, it's a caveat here, but I'll stand accountable for making the bet now, regardless of what happens tomorrow. Because sometimes you overthink these things. So, do you need all 4 of those guards in the game? Well, maybe not. Maybe somebody will step up and fill the void, and a new player on the team will take several steps forward to fill that gap. So you really can't say, oh, this guy's not playing, so I'm not going to bet the game. This game, I'll say it now, will be valid as long as at least one of those guards is playing.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And you're getting +6, -110 at Circa.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
All right, we have John Ryan on the board. Those are 2 12 p.m. Eastern games. He's backing Iowa Hawkeyes +3.5. He's backing Louisville Cardinals +6. And we move on, and we fast forward 6 hours. 6 p.m. Eastern is the next spot on the board that John Ryan is attacking. UC Santa Barbara Gauchos. Let's see what we are dealing with here from a market perspective. We get over here and got to move over to all games. This will just take a second. While we're doing that, they're at 3-1, 0-1 on the road at the Pepperdine Waves, 4-3, 3-1 at home. We're at Firestone, Fieldhouse, Malibu, California. And let's see what we can get from an odds spot here. We're looking at FanDuel to start off. We'll see what Circa is dealing. And just going to take me a second. Okay, here we go. Sorry, moving a little too quick there. And 6 p.m., UC Santa Barbara +4.5 point dogs, UC Santa Barbara. This total at 144.5. Let's go. UC Santa Barbara coming off its first loss of the season after winning game 1 of a home-and-home against Loyola Marymount, 69-58. They lost game 2 at Loyola, 81-76. And just a precursor to what is to come, the final game on John's card is Cal Poly Mustangs at Loyola Marymount Lions. So just so to help with our capping, he's also attacking UC Santa Barbara, who just got off that home-and-home. Now, Loyola did play UC Irvine, 2 nights ago? But just to keep you guys, give you a heads up. So UC Santa Barbara, their first 2 games were easy wins against NAIA St. Catherine Firebirds and the Bethesda Flames of the National Christian Collegiate Athletic Association. Put a line through those 2 contests. They're led by senior guard Ja'Cory McLaughlin, 16.3 points, 5.3 assists. He's hitting 50% from 3. When I read 50%, I also double check, make sure that there's enough quantity of 3-point shots. And I don't have it in front of me, but I believe McLaughlin's 9 for 18. Then we move over to Pepperdine. Pepperdine is 4-3, but they're 2-3 versus Division I competition. After a tight 65-60 loss at San Diego State, Pepperdine came back to beat California 74-62 at home as 4.5 point favorites. Betting public and the experts, they saw Pepperdine step up against Cal. They were favored. Then they came up against CSU Northridge, CSUN, 15-point favorites after beating Cal by 12. And they lose 89-84, a surprise loss as big favorites. So you can tell, or you can imagine that they're hungry and angry right now. They couldn't get stops when they needed to. They're led by a really nice forward guard combo. Each averaged 20-plus points per game. 6'8" junior forward Kessler Edwards, 20.4 points, 6.9 rebounds, and he hits 47.1% from 3. And then senior guard Colby Ross, he runs the show. He averages 20.1 points, 7.9 assists. He almost never leaves the floor. He's either made or assisted on 50% of all Pepperdine field goals over the last 3 games. Pepperdine's ranked second among WCC teams with an average of 83.9 points per game. Here we go. Santa Barbara, Pepperdine, and Pepperdine 4.5 point favorites at FanDuel. John, take it away.
Well, you're right about Pepperdine being in probably a bounce back mode. I don't know if it's maybe too early in the season to have that, that pissed off mood coming off of a bad loss. But that was one for sure. So Cal Santa Barbara is coming off. I guess what they're doing is the home and home. Loyola Marymount, they've played twice, as you mentioned. And despite the strength of schedule not even being in the same ballpark as what Pepperdine has played, I do believe that they are the better team. So in the college rankings of 357 teams, Cal Santa Barbara ranks 111th and Pepperdine is 119. So not drastically different, but it's only drastically different when we're getting, I think you said 6.5 points. So again, another dog here that is a better ball handling team. They are, let me pull it up here. They rank, UC Santa Barbara ranks 36th, 16.5 assists per game. They're 20th at 1.5 assists to turnover. They're 8th with assists to field goals made, 0.673. Granted, if you adjust this for strength of schedule, which I'll start doing going forward on these shows, Jimmy, because it's important to note the difference. This is like a case study. Still, when you match them up against what Pepperdine does and what they don't do, they have advantages at both ends of the court. So when you look at Cal's defensive measures too, they're allowing opponents 10.5 assists. And again, based on strength of schedule, strength of schedule, SOS, it's not that many more. That draws me a concern that, because of the lack of competition, that they're going to be overwhelmed by Pepperdine. And these teams know each other for, some of these players have played against each other for the 4th year now, and probably 8, 9, 10 times if you include conference tournaments. So, in this situation, I think I have the better team with Cal Santa Barbara and on the road, which is the only negative in that statement. But when I'm getting 6, that's what I'm looking for.
You aren't getting 6. You are getting 4.5 juiced. And you can tell the market agrees with you because Circa's already moved that to 4. When FanDuel juices it to -114, they're about to move it to 4. So let me just see very quickly, what I can tell you from where this opened offshore. And I know that we deal with licensed legal books in America, books that other Americans can legally bet. But let's just see what it was offshore here. And interesting. So basically it's been hovering around 4 or 4.5. It is not hit at 5 yet. But you have an option. You can get that half point for just 4 cents on the dollar, John.
Well, that would be a good thing to do. That's not paying out the wazoo for it.
No.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, we have.
And just for the listeners, tomorrow, whenever you're listening to this, that a lot of times with these dogs, with my clients, I nicknamed it a combination wager. So what you're going to do is you're going to put 70% on the line, and then you're going to put 30% on the money line. And this percentage will change, but that is optimized based on a +4 underdog that I think is going to cover easily and win the game. Now, tomorrow, who knows? It could be another 1-4 day. We hope not. But over the course of the season, by playing these combination wagers and sprinkling a little on the money line, you're going to enhance your ROI significantly. So it's that discipline of trusting what you're doing every single day, no matter what. And that'll get you to the finish line with more money than when you started.
I love it. So we have 3 looks so far on John Ryan's card, and we have 3 dogs. We have Iowa Hawkeyes +3.5 at -110. We have Louisville Cardinals +6 at -110, and we have UC Santa Barbara +4.5 at -114. And the beat goes on. John has picked out 2 games at 9 p.m. Eastern. Love these late games. 1 East, 1 West. Let's go. St. Joseph's Hawks, 0-3, 0-1 on the road at number 7th ranked Villanova Wildcats, 6-1, 1-0 at home. Finneran Pavilion, Villanova, Pennsylvania. Let's see what FanDuel is hanging here for this. And they have Villanova as 21.5-point favorites at -118. And Circa has Villanova as 22-point favorites at -110. So that half point costing 8 cents over at FanDuel. Let's go. St. Joseph opened their season with a tight 96-91 overtime loss to Auburn, then a 94-72 loss to Kansas in back-to-back days at the Fort Myers tip-off that went in late November. They then had to suspend all basketball activities for 14 days after positive COVID tests, multiples. After the 14-day suspension, they had 2 days of practice before their 81-77 loss at Drexel. They can't get stops when they need to. They're allowing 90.3 points per game. They're hitting just 40% from the field. They're putting up a lot of points for that because of the pace that they play. They're led by senior guard 6'5" Ryan Daly, who averages 20.7 points, 6.3 rebounds, and combo guard forward 6'8" Taylor Funk, who averages 16.3 points and 7 rebounds. At 6'5" and 6'8", they're able to get mismatches on the floor quite often, which leads to the reason why they speed the pace up so much. Villanova's won 4 straight since losing to Virginia Tech 81-73 in overtime at the end of November. They most recently defeated Butler easily 85-66 on Wednesday night. They shot 50% from the field, only committed 6 turnovers. It was very nice basketball. They play strong defense. They allow just 66.9 points per game while scoring 78.3. They hit 47% of their field goals. They're led by senior guard Colin Gillespie, who averages 15.6 points per game, 4.6 assists, and 6'9" sophomore Jeremiah Robinson Earl, who averages 15.4 points, 7.7 rebounds. We have a big favorite here, John, in Villanova, 21.5 or 22. Take it away, 9 p.m. Eastern. Oh, no. Okay. All right, let's get John back up here.
Yeah,
John,
this is weird with this internet tonight.
No worries. When did I lose you?
Oh, about 1 minute ago. I just went backstage and came back on.
All right. Well, that doesn't sound too bad. Okay, if you were only gone for a minute. Basically, I finished off with just talking about how good Villanova looked in that easy win over Butler. 50% from the field, commit 6 turnovers. This is a team that's clearly gelling. And 66.9 points per game they allow. They're hitting 47% from the field. A dangerous team, but a team that's either 21.5 or 22-point favorites. John, take it away. St. Joseph Hawks, Villanova Wildcats.
Now, I have a question for you. I heard you say that they're favored by 22. What do they have them at the total?
And it's 21.5 or 22. It's 150.5 at FanDuel, juiced to the over, and Circa has that just at 151.
Okay. So this implies that Villanova is going to be in a high-scoring game by their standards. So what I did was I've talked about this on the football show where you have an implied final score. So at 22 and 150, let's say that's rounded off, that would be 75. It's going to be 86, 66 or 65, 85, 86, 65. So when Villanova scores more than 81 points, they are outstanding. It's 28-4 against the spread the last 3 seasons alone. And St. Joe's, you may have said when I was off stage here that they play at a high pace of play themselves, which is basically feeding right into the teeth of this Villanova Wildcat team, which is playing better and better. And I'm not concerned about any of the layoffs with the COVID. I live near Philadelphia, so the Philadelphia Big Five is what it's called. It's St. Joe's, Villanova, LaSalle, Drexel, and who am I forgetting here? Whew. It's getting late, Jimmy. It's getting late in the day. But trust me, there's a 5th one.
Temple?
Temple. Yes, very good. How could I forget them? All right, so I'm getting a little bit older. So the Big Five and a stadium called the Palestra. If you're ever in the Philadelphia region and you have a chance to watch one of these games at the Palestra, you got to put it in your bucket list, and you'll trust me, you'll be glad you did. It's a treat like you can't even believe. People call it a cozy environment. It's far from that, I think, because it gets pretty passionate. But it's some of the best competition you'll see around. Villanova is head and shoulders better than everybody else now. But 15, 20 years ago, I'm telling you, there was some wars fought in the Palestra. So in this game, I am not on the dog this time. I'm on Villanova. I'm gonna lay the 21.5 or 22. My machine learning tools are all over Villanova with projections as much as a 35-point win. And I think you're getting it. I hate saying this because it's 21.5, Jimmy, but at the beginning of the season in past years is when Jay Wright would struggle. And there was actually even times where, it came up in the media like, oh, boy, is he looking for a job in the pros? What's wrong? And it's so ridiculous that they even go that direction. But now he has 4 starters that are back for the first time since I can remember. And the public are going to bet that, Villanova starts out slow. So if they're 20-point favorite, you got to take the dog. Well, I think in this case, that's going to prove to be very wrong.
Very interesting. 22, minus 22 at minus 110, or minus 21.5 at minus 118.
Oh, the 110.
Absolutely. Villanova Wildcats, minus 22 at minus 110. And we are in business. We get to John's final game on his card, 9 p.m. Eastern. Cal Poly Mustangs, 2-3, 0-0 on the road at Loyola Marymount Lions, 4-3, 4-0 home. We're at Gersten Pavilion in Los Angeles, California. Loyola Marymount, 15.5-point favorites at FanDuel. Man, I was hoping that would be lower. 15-point favorites at Circa. Interesting. Cal Poly 2-3 on the season, but 1-3 against Div 1 opposition. Their lone win came this week, 75-71 at home over San Jose State. They followed that up with a 70-61 loss at home to San Diego. Their offense seems to completely shut down at times. Against San Diego, they scored 5 points over the final 9 minutes and 35 seconds of the first half. And part of the reason is that graduate transfer Riley Till, who came over from Iowa, has missed the last 3 games, and the offense is hurt because of it. He leads the team in scoring at 12 points per game. It's unclear when he will be back available. I tried to get information on it. I couldn't get it. Loyola coming off a 51-48 win at home over UC Irvine. They didn't cover by a point. I had Loyola Marymount. Their offense just went ice cold all game. They shot 35.8% from the field, 11.1% from 3. They opened the game with going 0 for 11 from 3 and finished 2 for 18. Their starters went a combined 0 for 13 from 3. It came on the heels of an 81-76 win over UC Santa Barbara. I bring up that game just to show that it was a strange situation. Against UC Santa Barbara, they shot 52.8% from the field and 47.8% from 3. They're ranked second among WCC teams with an offensive rebound percentage of 34%. They average 12.1 offensive boards per game, 13.3 over their last 3. Interesting spot. Loyola Marymount at home as big favorites against Cal Poly. John Ryan, take it away.
Over the years, there's it's been a love relationship with Cal Poly and myself. That when it shows up on my radar from the machine learning stuff, especially as a double-digit dog, no matter how bad they're playing, there's reasons to get on board and bet them. So this may come as one of those shockers and a bit of a contrarian play, but not too much because Loyola Marymount has had 3 games now shooting 36% or less over their last 5 games. And we're not talking about playing the top teams either. It's conference teams, and it's a very nice conference. It's very fun to watch, especially if you're up late at night. There's nothing like watching Pacific play. Irvine and the whole group of them are very close together. It's a good parity type of conference, which bodes well for entertainment. But in this game, I'm going to read off some metrics. We're going to go on the technical side for this game, Jimmy. So Loyola Marymount, 0-6 against the spread after having won two of their last 3 games in games played over the last 2 seasons. They are 5-16 off a home win over the last 3 seasons. Let's see here. 4-15 after playing a game as a home favorite in games played over the last 3 years. 9-22 after playing 2 consecutive games as a home favorite. 9-24 in home games after playing 2 consecutive home games. 3-11 after 1 or more consecutive wins in games played over the last 2 seasons. So you can see that it's like a team that doesn't like to. It seems like they don't want to keep winning. I get done reading that, and it's just like there's no follow through to getting on a 4, 5, 6, 7 game win streak with that particular team. And my power ratings have this game as a 9, and I think we're sitting at what, 13.5, 14,
15 or 15.
Oh, there you go. Now this is a game. I'm glad it went up a little bit, where you're probably going to get bigger bang for the buck tomorrow morning. And it's definitely a game, as Jimmy said, Cal Poly can go cold in a hurry. I mean, it's like turning off the shower. And there's going to be in-game live betting opportunities. And the same can be said about Loyola Marymount. They can go ice cold in a heartbeat. So you want to take advantage of those situations. And I've been running this back test in the NBA, and it's not quite as good in college, but it's still very good. You simply want to look for a 10-point run. So in other words, if Loyola Marymount at any point, especially in the first half, gets a 10-point run, no matter what the score is, and this is the hard part, because sometimes you're thinking, well, I'm not going to do it because Cal Poly was winning, now they're only winning by 3, or there's too much. You're focusing too much on the situation that's in front of you instead of focusing on the 10-point run. So if Loyola Marymount would do a 10-point run tomorrow, I would highly recommend using the live line to average into your bet. So if you do for this game, I could see myself doing 70% pregame getting the points, and then 15% 2 times during the game. So that adds up to 100. So if you see, again, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here. I probably am. 10-point run by Loyola. Just close your eyes and add that 15%. You may not see that run again because Loyola is not that good in offense. So then you decide, intuitively, how does this game feel right now? And it's like trading when I was on Wall Street. A lot of times, the best trades are when you're contrarian. Bitcoin right now, I'll put out a chart on it tomorrow on Twitter because I still trade currencies and all kinds of stuff. Bitcoin right now, the sentiment has gotten so high that I think it's going to top and go down a lot. So the same thing happens in the sports world too, where you have betting lines and you get, possibly tomorrow we'll see 75% of the bets on Loyola Marymount because Cal Poly stinks. And that's the public perception. The analogy is Bitcoin. Oh my God, it's going up through the roof. It's over 20,000 now. Some guy said it's going to go to 400,000. And then these guys go and tell their wives that they're going to take the IRA and put it in Bitcoin. I mean, it's crazy. So those are the games I like to look for. And I think you're going to see tomorrow that the public is going to be all over Loyola Marymount, which is going to make this even tastier for us.
I like it. You got Cal Poly at plus 15 at minus 110 or plus 15 and a half at minus 115.
Yeah. What was that again?
15 and a half at minus 115. Half point costs 5 cents, or plus 15 at minus 110.
I think the 15 and a half sounds pretty good. I kind of like that hook.
All right, let's get it for you. Plus 15 and a half at minus 115. And that is available at FanDuel. All right, John Ryan. It is Friday night. This is for Saturday, December 19th action. John has 5 games that he's locked in. Iowa Hawkeyes plus 3.5, minus 110 at Circa. Louisville Cardinals plus 6, minus 110 at Circa. UC Santa Barbara plus 4.5, minus 114 at FanDuel. Villanova, minus 22, minus 110. And that was at Circa. And we have Loyola Marymount. Oh, excuse me. We have Cal Poly. I've got that under the wrong. Sorry, we have Cal Poly. Let me just edit and cut that here. Cal Poly Mustangs, plus 15.5 at minus 115. Does that sound good, John?
That sounds awesome. I'm going to leave our listeners with a good betting system for Iowa that I wanted to mention earlier. And it has hit 73% winners over the last 5 seasons. You're going to play against neutral court teams, Gonzaga, after a win by 6 points or fewer, and facing an opponent after they scored 80 or more in 4 straight games. Simple. That's 73%, 41-14 with 1 push over the last 5 seasons.
Ooh.
Another reason to bet Iowa.
John, I will see you at 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning for our big college football show. Good luck with your action tonight. Enjoy this weekend before Christmas. And thank you for sharing all your hard work and insights. Any last words?
Everybody's still awake after that last monologue there.
That's good, man. It's about winning. It's about winning. And you are sitting 5-5 down 0.18 units, very close to the black. I expect we'll be in the black when we shoot our next college basketball show very early next week. John Ryan, great job. On behalf of John Ryan, myself, and everybody at odds.com, thank you guys so much for watching. Keep cashing. Let's pay for some Christmas presents.
You bet.